it's all been leading up to this. An age-long war between Templars and the Assassins has raged, while the apocalypse looms ever closer. Using a machine known as the Animus, protagonist Desmond Miles has been reliving the lives of his ancestors to discover secrets left throughout history. But time is running out, and Desmond must hurry to crack the code and save the world. Is Assassin's Creed 3 the end of an era, or a new beginning?
Brothers, sisters.
Previously, Desmond visited the Third Crusade and the Renaissance, but in Assassin's Creed 3, he's landed in colonial America at the height of the Revolution. And we advise you to study up on American history right now. The game does a terrible job of explaining who's who or what's going on in that volatile political landscape. You take part in some of the most famous historical battles of that era, but these missions are small in scale and feel dragged out to pad out the story. It's such a waste of the rich history.
Fearful!
With a new setting comes a new assassin. Half Native American, half English, Connor Kenway. Although he lacks the charm and the charisma of Ezio, he makes up for it with moments of pure badassery. His character evolution from rash and impulsive child to cool, calm assassin is artfully written. Like Damascus and Rome before, the cities of Boston and New York are now your playgrounds. They are bustling with life, but scaling the buildings feels like old hat. More exciting are the gorgeous mountains, rivers, forests of the frontier, and they're just begging to be explored. Starting free runs in these forests is more difficult, with only specific trees or rock faces that can be climbed, but once you're up there, it's easy to lose yourself dashing through the forests, taking in the beautiful scenery. Sadly, the frontier's other distractions aren't very well realised. Hunting relies too heavily on quick-time events, while the homestead, despite having a great sense of personality, feels overly complicated to set up and organise properly. They're interesting ideas and a nice distraction from the main plot, but both are lacking in direction and feel a bit like last-minute additions. The series' signature free running has been kicked up a notch. Connor is much more agile than previous assassins. Seeing him sliding under obstacles, hurdling over fences and tearing through houses feeds into the game's more cinematic style. Those cat-like reflexes are especially useful when encountering enemies. There's a larger arsenal of weapons to take full advantage of, although switching between them is fiddly and pulls you out of the flow of the fight. Combat certainly looks slicker, with combos and takedowns looking more impressive than ever, but it retains an overly familiar feeling, and large groups of enemies are still easily dispatched by hammering the counter and attack buttons. Stealth, meanwhile, has been stripped back, meaning Connor's more soldier than crafty assassin extraordinaire, with the game having a distinct love of bombastic action. Nowhere is this more obvious than in the game's epic naval battles. Chases through shallow water, navigating storms and bombarding coastline forts with your cannons is exhilarating and well executed. These are the freshest elements of Assassin's Creed 3, standing out against the been there, done that feeling that the game's familiar structure will evoke in series fans. And that's ultimately what sinks Assassin's Creed 3. Despite the promise of new features from the combat to the free running, it can't help but feel like just another Assassin's Creed game. Even if you've been invested in the series since the beginning, the story is hard to follow, sometimes poorly written, and it's an unsatisfying conclusion to a saga that spanned 5 games. Assassin's Creed 3 feels like neither an end nor a beginning. Like Desmond himself, it's a product of a series trapped in its own history, trying to relive past glories. There's some fun to be had in its rampant nostalgia, especially on its stormy seas, but the future of Assassin's Creed seems shakier than ever.